morning, everybody. Hi, kids. Hi from Emily as well. Now, we're here to talk a little bit more about the Lord's Prayer this morning. Something went a bit wrong last week, didn't it? Not sure what happened to the sound there. But hopefully you've been able to catch up with the next part of the Lord's Prayer on the Nailsea Baptist Church YouTube channel, where I think the video was uploaded separately. So hopefully you're up to speed. Let's just recap those first two lines that we've learnt so far on the board behind me. Okay, so we have our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. So we've learnt that our God is the perfect Father who loves us. And that God, last week, we learnt that he is a holy God, which means he's set apart, he's pure, and he's perfect. So let's have a look at our next line on the Lord's Prayer, which says, your kingdom come. Your kingdom come. So that's the next line. What's that? It's another long word. Yeah, kingdom. It's a long word. What does it mean? Do some of the adults know what it means? Well, we'll see. Now, let's have a look at that word now. So we've got the word kingdom in our line this morning. Kingdom. Now, there's a bit of a clue in the word. If we split the word up into two, you can see that it's king and dom. So it's got the word king in it, yeah, so that's a clue, isn't it? And the word dom, that's another word for a place. So the place that a kingdom rules is called a kingdom. Or that a queen rules, yeah, a queen, yeah. Like Elsa, yeah, you're right, like Elsa in Frozen. Where's our Elsa? Here she is. Got a picture of Elsa here to show everybody. So Elsa in the film Frozen, she rules eventually as queen of the kingdom of Arendelle. The kingdom isn't safe in Frozen 2, no. In Frozen 2, the kingdom is in danger. But let's not say any more about that for now, in case we ruin it for those that haven't seen it. Let's get back to the kingdom in the Lord's Prayer that we're talking about. So, we know what a kingdom is. Kingdom is a place where a king rules. So, who is the ruler of the kingdom that we're talking about in the Lord's Prayer? Someone who might wear a crown. We've already prayed, our Father, hallowed be your name. And now we've got your kingdom come. So who have we been talking about so far in the Lord's Prayer, Emily? God, yeah. So when we say your kingdom come, we're still talking about God. So God has always been the king, and he will always be the king forever and ever. Should we take this off you now? There we go. So we know what a kingdom is. We know who is the king. But where is this kingdom that we are praying will come? Well, Emily, I'm going to have to sit you over there for a minute because we need to go right back to the beginning and we need to use our banner to try and understand the next bit. So I'm just going to sit Emily down over here. There we go. Sit and watch from there. Okay, so do you remember the banner that we did earlier on in the year, in the first lockdown? Okay, so we have God was the king who made everything. He made at the beginning a perfect paradise garden. And when Adam and Eve lived with God in God's kingdom, they were never hungry, they were never sick, and they were happy. And there was no death because they were in God's kingdom forever. But then people chose to be their own king. They could not be in the garden anymore with God because God is holy and they didn't want him to be their king. And over time, God sent lots of rulers to rule over his people. But even David, where's David? There he is. Oh, there he is. Even David, who was a pretty good king, made mistakes. And God promised that one day a king would come who would be great, a perfect king. And he came a little bit later on in our banner as Jesus. Jesus is that king who God sent. And when Jesus was here, he fed the hungry, he made people better, he stopped storms, he even brought people back to life. And when he died, Jesus died so that we could once again be part of God's kingdom. Because do you remember, we got kicked out. So we could be part of God's kingdom like Adam and Eve were at the beginning. Jesus came back to life and he went back to be with his Father, with God in heaven. And he says that if we understand that choosing to ignore God is wrong, that if we say sorry and we love Jesus, then we are part of God's kingdom now and forever. So remember, at the end of our banner, we had the perfect garden restored again and God as king. So, bit of a whistle-stop tour then. Let's just get Emily back. There we go. So, is God's kingdom everywhere? Well, kind of, yes. And we're a part of it, aren't we? If we love Jesus and we're living the way that he wants us to live. Yeah, okay, so your kingdom come. Why do we want the kingdom to come? Well, it says in the Bible that God's kingdom is like a very small seed. And he planted it and it's growing. And every time someone becomes a Christian, it grows a little bit more. So we are praying in the Lord's Prayer for God's kingdom to grow. Will it have flowers? Well, one day that plant that we just talked about will be fully grown, and I expect it will be huge and beautiful with lots of flowers. And one day, all sickness, all hunger, all death, all the bad stuff will be made good. God will make everything new, and he will be fully king over all. So when we pray, your kingdom come, we are asking two things: for God's kingdom to grow, and we're also really looking forward to the day when it will be fully grown. Now, here's a question for lunchtime. How can we help God's kingdom to grow? How can we help God's kingdom to grow? So have a chat over lunchtime about what we've talked about, because it is confusing, and have a think about that question. We're going to hand back over to the band now, who are going to sing We Want to See Jesus Lifted High, which we've sung at church sometimes with banners and things, and your parents will certainly know the actions. And we need to remember that God's kingdom is the biggest and the best, and one day will rule over everything as it was at the beginning. So enjoy the song, have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.